Today we are paying tribute to the generations of Asians and Pacific Islanders who have enriched the United States history, contributed so much, and are instrumental in its future success. Like most commemorative months, Asian Pacific American Heritage Month originated with Congress, which passed a resolution in 1978 proclaiming Asian Pacific American Heritage Week, which became a month-long commemoration in 1992. The month of May was chosen because two important anniversaries fall during this time: the arrival of the first Japanese immigrants in the United States on May 7, 1843, and the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad by many Chinese laborers on May 10, 1869. The majority of the workers who laid the tracks were Chinese immigrants. The AAPI community encompasses a large and diverse group of ethnicities, backgrounds, experiences, and people. And we are very proud that nearly 15% of our county's population are Asian Pacific Islander Americans. They also make up one of the fastest growing racial groups in the nation. Like most other groups of color and immigrant communities, the AAPI also experience unique challenges in our county's racial landscape. And now more than ever, as the county is engaging in our racial equity and social justice work, it is important to work together as our experiences and struggles are more similar than not. Meaningful involvement from all communities, especially our young voices, in the county is essential to tackle issues related to equity. And as we are about to watch in the video prepared by our AAPI liaison, young leaders from AAPI community are stepping up and contributing to this dialogue and work. And now we will watch the video.
Eliminating the achievement gap, providing equal access and opportunity to resources, achieving racial equity. The Montgomery County Council is dedicated to these goals to improve the lives of all county residents. Council President Nancy Navarro is leading the discussion on racial equity. In January, she hosted a training session conducted by the Racial Equity Institute for more than 45 county leaders to proactively understand and address racial inequities facing our communities. In March, residents had the chance to voice their own ideas on how to eliminate racial disparities at a town hall meeting held in the Civic Building in downtown Silver Spring. No voice will be left out, including the youth. A racial equity forum was held for students specifically in April at Gaithersburg High School. In celebration of Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, we asked several Asian American youth to tell us how they experience racial inequity and their visions for a more racially equal society. According to the Urban Institute for Montgomery County, Asian American households have the second highest average income with $131,000 compared to $160,000 for white households. When it comes to college education, 81% of Asians have some college compared to 86 to 88% of whites and native-born people. Statistically, Asian Americans enjoy high rates of completing higher education, employment, income, and home ownership. This often leads to the model minority stereotype being applied to Asian Americans. This, in turn, can create unseen pressures on our young Asian population.
There's claims that Asians have privilege in America and in society, which is personally I disagree with, but I can see the reason behind it looking at like academic statistics, and I think it's a very touchy subject that has a lot of complexity behind it, but I think it puts Asians at a difficult position, and when we're trying to talk about some of our issues or that we face, that we kind of feel like we're not allowed to talk about them because, one, they might not be as difficult as other minorities might face, or two, because economically, statistically, we're more privileged.
As Asian American students, their accomplishments, and speaking for myself too, are often overlooked. It's not like uncommon to hear, oh, he did well on that test because he's Asian, rather than because he works hard, because he gets his work done.
In America, we don't have many North Koreans. We only have 270, and I'm like one of the 15 people in DC area. So if I do something very stupid or very bad thing, then it's very easy to spread word out in the community, and it affects all North Koreans.
Even though Asian Americans are considered highly successful by many measures, this does not mean they shouldn't fight for racial equity.
I think our county is making a lot of active attempts to achieve racial equity, but I think we still have a lot of work to do, a lot of groundwater work to do to ensure that no matter what background you come from, you have the same chance to be happy and successful here in Montgomery County.
I remember thinking about how our rights came about, and really it came from the Black movement and how they got their civil rights, and they really set the precedence for equality in all of America. And it's important for us to really recognize that as minorities, you really have to stand together. And even though we may all be facing different struggles, it doesn't mean that they're all entirely separate, and there's really connection between them, and that as minorities, we ought to just stand together.
So racial equality and equity does mean everybody. So it's not just Asian Americans advocating for Asian American issues. It's really just giving everyone the opportunity to perform well and succeed.
As our young students prepare to enter the workforce in the near future, they have plenty of ideas for our county lawmakers on how to achieve racial equity.
In education, we also think about having a curriculum that reflects the students' background and hiring a workforce that is reflective of the immense diversity that Montgomery County has.
Because the curriculum in Montgomery County, too, tends to be pretty Eurocentric, right? And this really leaves out and omits other cultures and doesn't allow every student to relate to the curriculum. So changing this curriculum will immediately benefit other students of other cultures besides this Eurocentric curriculum.
I think cultural inclusivity and sensitivity is always a good idea. For example, training for teachers or staff members to learn about other cultures or the complexities behind racial equity.
Growing up in Montgomery County, these students are grateful their local government is making everyone feel like they have a place at the table.
I really appreciate to the government that actually thinks about those foreigners and ethnic groups and trying to provide it like an equal like opportunity for everyone.
One of the first things I say when I introduce myself is that I grew up in one of the most diverse communities in this nation. I think it's something that I personally pride myself on every day.
Growing up, I was lucky to be in Montgomery County where it's diverse, and I never felt isolated because of things I couldn't control, like my race.
Using these ideas brought forth by our residents, young and old, Council President Navarro will work with her council colleagues to introduce and enact equity policy legislation this fall.
I want to thank Crystal Park for that amazing video, and now we're going to present some awards and a proclamation. So first, let me invite Ms. Ananya Tadikonda and Mr. Arvin Kim to come forward so I can present a special token of appreciation for their extraordinary leadership as amazing young leaders in our county. Stay here. I do want to acknowledge Amanda Chu and also Grace Joe, who couldn't be here, but they also will have some awards that we will send their way. But really, truly, this is definitely the face of Montgomery County's future. This is definitely the face of those young leaders who are about doing extraordinary things and really taking the baton from many of us who have worked so hard to lay the path. They are blazing that trail, and I am so grateful for everything that you have done here in Montgomery County and will continue to do as you, of course, go off to college and you know, other things that will come in the future. We want you back, obviously, and we want you very well connected because we truly do need you here. So thank you again, and another round of applause for these amazing leaders. All right, so now let's continue the celebration, and I would like to invite all the members of the AAPI community to come forth. We're gonna have a proclamation, and yeah, you guys stay here because are part of this celebration. All right, so let's do the proclamation, and then we will definitely make sure everybody is in the ceremonial photo at the end. The County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland proclamation, whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is recognized nationally throughout the month of May and celebrates the contributions that generations of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have made to American history, society, and culture. And whereas residents of Asian Pacific heritage come from all parts of Asia and the Pacific Islands of Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia, and whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month honors the perseverance of those who courageously reach for their hopes and dreams in a new land and celebrates the important impact that these community members have made on our nation. And whereas in commemorating this month, tribute is paid to all in the Asian American and Pacific Islander communities who worked for more opportunities and better lives for future generations. And whereas more than 161,600 county residents identify themselves as Asian Americans or Pacific Islander, which represents more than 15% of our population, and approximately 70% of these residents are foreign-born. And whereas most Asian Pacific Americans living in our county trace their ancestries to China, India, Korea, the Philippines, and Vietnam. And whereas as one of the most culturally diverse groups in our county, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders remind us that while we come from different backgrounds, we are all united in our ongoing efforts to make Montgomery County an outstanding community in which to live, work, and raise a family. And whereas together we recommit ourselves to embracing the diversity that enriches our county and to ensuring that all people have equal chance to succeed. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby recognizes May 2019 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, signed on the 6th of May in the year of 2019, signed by Nancy Navarro, myself, Council President. And I'm going to present this proclamation to Judge Pak.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, we do have, I believe we do have proclamations for others as well, right? Okay, so we're going to now I'll turn it over to Judge Pak to make some remarks, and then you'll have some other members of the group who will also make some remarks.
I want to first mention some of the leaders here. Mr. Mukherjee from the AICS and the Mr. James Han from the League of Korean Americans, and the Christina Poi from the Governor's Affairs on Asian American Affairs, and the Dr. Hyun-suk Choi from the Youngnam Foundation, and Mr. Choi from the Korean American Senior Citizens Association, and Senator Susan Lee, and the Mr. Becky Singh, former chair of the Sikh Temple in Silver Spring, and Dr. Lee from CCCAA, Executive Director, and the Matthew Lee, Democratic Central Committee member and Government Contracting Alliance, and the Martin Han, and the we have Dr. Nimping Fang from the Northwestern Chinese American Association, Linda Han from the Global Han in Hyundai, and Stan Tsai from the OCA DC co-chair, and Dr. John Liu from the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, and the Mr. Jason, president of the Coordination Council of Chinese American Associations, and the Tran from the Vietnamese Community Service, and the Dr. Vo Son from the Union of Chinese American Professional Associations, and Dr. Heng Lu from the Chinese American Alumni Association, and the those they are the top leaders of the Asian American communities, and I'd like to have representatives from each community speak for about 30 seconds. And so I'd like to first invite from the Chinese American community, Dr. Jason.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, and I'm so glad to be here and to work with all the community and to celebrate the Asian Pacific Islander and Heritage Month. I'm new here. I'm the current my second term of the CCCAA, which is the Coordinating Council of Chinese American Associations. In our umbrella, we covered 36 hometown associations from all over China. So I'm being here ready to work together with the council and with the PAC and with the Nancy to reach out to the Chinese communities, help the citizens and also new immigrants, to give them help to make their life easier to live in this great county. And thank you very much.
Mr. Tran from the Vietnamese American community.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Vietnamese community. I really appreciate Montgomery County leaders and all of the partners. We have the event today to celebrate our Asian Heritage Month. I would like to tell my people in my community, we work harder and contribute more to build a healthy and thrift county of Montgomery County. Thank you.
And Mr. Becky Singh from the South Asian and Indian American community.
We thank you, Nancy Navarro, and all the council members giving us a time here. And on behalf of the Sikh community and Asian American, we really appreciate this. Is great that we need to keep it up for the next years to come. Thank you very much.
And Matthew Lee from the Korean American community.
Good morning. Thank you so much to President Nancy, and our 8 other council members have been working with them. They are always champion for the AAPI community. And you saw the Judge Pak, he's the godfather of AAPI community. Remember, everybody's, right? And you know the champion of Senator Suzanne. Really, thank you so much. And then having Arvin Kim, like a young, Korean American, young Asian Americans be, part of us and contributing, for the educationally and economically and culturally, we're going to be a rich community in the Montgomery County. And I want to thank you so much. Thanks.
And the Senator Susan Lee.
Okay, 30 seconds. Someone take time. Okay. Thank you so much. Nancy, thank you so much for doing this. And also your county council colleagues here. Thank you for recognizing our fast-growing Asian American Pacific Islander community. This is an important month for us because we've been in this country for a long time, but our contributions have not been recognized, but they are now with this month. And I think it's important that we be an inclusive community and state, and we are. And Montgomery County is one of the most diverse and most educated and most informed and engaged, the best county in Maryland. Don't you think, guys, right? Yeah, because we are like this. And I'd like to give a shout out to our kids here, too. Weren't they wonderful? Can we give them a hand, too? Yeah. I know we're in good hands now. They are our future. They are our hope. And I thank you, everyone, for coming here today. Happy Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Thank you.
Yes. I just want to thank our County Council President, Nancy Navarro. She helped organize this event with the other County Council members. And I think what makes Montgomery County is because we have leaders like Nancy Navarro and other county leaders who understands the diversity is important and inclusive community is important. And they understand we all make significant contribution to the good of our county, state, and our nation. And thank you again, Council President.
Absolutely. Thank you, Judge Park. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge Shruti Bhatnagar, who is here and has joined us. But as you heard, we do have the godfather of the AAPI community and the godmother, Senator Susan Lee, who are doing just extraordinary things in our community, and it's just really heartwarming, especially when you try to watch the news and realize that day in and day out, what we are seeing is just an absolute breakdown of what I consider to be the hijacking of truth and lack of empathy and lack of understanding. And I think that we do live in an extraordinary community where here what you see present is a snapshot of who we are and what we plan to continue to do together in order to hopefully be a role model to so many other jurisdictions that somehow don't seem to be able to get it together when it comes to this issue of just inclusiveness, tolerance, and respect. So it is really humbling for me to stand here and really acknowledge the hard work of all of those present, and as well as all of those who are out there in our community today. So with that, we're going to take the ceremonial photo, and I'm going to ask my colleagues if they can please stand, because I know it's going to be kind of tough to be over here, but they're all very tall, so they can all fit.